Yep. This is Candor Talk, where we discuss politics, social issues, entertainment, and all things hot. We aren't afraid to hit hard because exposing the truth comes without fear. Join us every Saturday at 11 p.m. Let's go. Yep. What's up, fabulous people? How you doing on this wonderful Saturday? I'm doing pretty good. I hope you're doing pretty good, and I'm probably sure you're doing pretty good because the flagrant imposter has been impeached. And it's something that I actually anticipated happening, but I was getting impatient, I think, at one point, but I think I actually really appreciate the way Nancy Pelosi handled this. Nancy Pelosi might be one of the most strategic and genius speakers in the history of U.S. speakership. She is so tactical and pragmatic that she's become an enigma in Congress, honestly. But before I delve into her genius strategy, I want to discuss the impeachment of the imposter in the White House. By now, I presume the globe is aware that the fraudster in the White House has been impeached. He was impeached for abuse of power and obstruction of justice. And then he has this rally in Michigan, where he's over there with his bald spot hanging out and his toupee flying in the wind and all this other stuff, and his face being like really, really red past the orange paint all over his face. And he was there in this, during his impeachment. He had a rally in Michigan, raging like an unhinged madman, trying to pretend he wasn't fazed by the impeachment at all. Here's what the rage maniac basically said during that rally in Michigan while he was being impeached. Here it is.
So lucky I took you on this fantastic journey. It's so much fun. They want to impeach you. They want to do worse than that. By the way, it doesn't really feel like we're being impeached, do you? The country is doing better than ever before. We did nothing wrong. And we have tremendous support in the Republican Party like we've never had before. Nobody's ever had this kind of support.
Okay, first of all, the Republicans don't have any choice but to support you because their careers will be over if they don't support you because you'll ruin their careers with your craziness. That's number one. The second thing is, who the hell is we? No, we didn't get impeached, homie. No, we did not. You got impeached. You on the crowd cheering, we got impeached. We got impeached. Yay, oh my God, we got impeached. We really got impeached. Oh my God, I can't believe we're impeached. No, we are not any, no, there is no we. Only the flagrant foul, the imposter in the White House, got impeached. So I don't know what you guys are screaming and cheering about. It doesn't feel like we got impeached. And what does impeachment feel like? I mean, tell us, sir, because you are only one of 3 presidents in the history of the United States that has ever been impeached. Could you tell us what it feels like? Is it a pinch? Is it a squeeze? Is it like a stab wound? Is it like a gunshot? What does it feel like? Because only really you and one other living president could tell us what that feels like, to be honest with you. So, but I mean, like, what did you do? But I guarantee you when you woke up the next day, whatever that impeachment feeling you were supposed to have, you felt it. You definitely felt it. You woke Melania, I'm feeling the impeachment right now. It hurts. It's my back. It's in my neck. I feel it. I feel it now. I'm going to rage tweet for the next 62 years about this. Oh, my honey, no, the impeachment, no, it's not mine. No, my honey. Look, you can't feel impeachment. It's not something like physical object that's going to slap you. You can get your career ruined, though. You can lose your livelihood. You could have your criminal enterprise shut down, but there's really no feeling that you're going to, there's no physical, it might feel bad. You're going to feel like shit, hopefully, if you're a normal, rational person, realize you just got charged. But what do you mean? It doesn't feel like I'm being impeached. It's so illogical. But another thing, too, is what does a country doing better have to do with whether or not you should be impeached? So what you're basically saying is that I'm a criminal. I should be allowed to continue my criminal enterprise without being impeded by things like an impeachment. So even if the country's doing well, it doesn't matter. I mean, if the country's doing well, then it shouldn't matter what I do. I should be able to do whatever I want to do and get away with it. There's crowds in there. Yeah, Mr. President, we're so happy that you can do whatever you want. Do what you want, Mr. President. We're going to clap for you. There was one lady, they actually interviewed her. And she even said that if Jesus Christ had come and told her that she should not support Trump, she would still support Trump. She wouldn't listen to Jesus Christ. I mean, this is the kind of support you have for this maniac. Let me just say something before I get a little bit more into the show. You have to understand that even Hitler, after all the damage he did in Germany and to Jewish people and to gypsies and to Polish people and to people that had mental retardation, also all the damage he had done and all the killing that he had done, the Holocaust, etc. Even after that, he still had people who supported him. This crazy maniac, he still, to this day, he has people that still support him. So every tyrant or the diabolical leader like that, they typically still have people who don't mind their crazy ways. And that's what you're hearing. There are people clapping and cheering as this man is basically telling you, I've just been charged. I've just been charged. They're sitting there clapping for him, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. And they're clapping, all excited. Can you imagine that? But the thing is, yes, you can. Every single brutal dictator or brutal leader still had people supporting them, even after their brutality was exposed to their country and exposed to the world. They still supported them. There are people who still supported Nixon when they had complete and total evidence that Nixon had committed crimes. They're still going to support him. So that's a part of the problem with politics sometimes. If I tell people, do not fall in love with the politician, fall in love with what the politician does, so that you can always be able to criticize them if they do something that's counter to your own belief system. You don't have to just support somebody because that does something wrong simply or merely because they're part of your party or because you quote unquote love that person. You should support people because they're doing things that are consistent with your own belief system. But anyway, let me get back to the stuff I want to talk about today. So let me be clear. Only 3 presidents in the history of the United States have ever been impeached. President Johnson, President Clinton, and then the flagrant foul in the White House. Even Nixon was not impeached. Nixon resigned before he could be impeached. But the flagrant foul in the White House, he's going down as one of 3. And let me tell you how all these presidents, what they were impeached for. So we had President Johnson. He was impeached for the violation of the Tenure of Office Act. The Tenure of Office Act, it actually was an act that passed even over Johnson's veto in 1867. And it basically stated that a president could not dismiss appointed officials without the consent of Congress. So President Johnson was basically impeached, and then he was tried in the Senate. He was impeached actually February 24th, 1868. He was tried in the Senate from March to May, 1868. The Senate actually ended up acquitting him by 1 vote. It was literally 35 guilty to 19 not guilty. If one more person had voted for him to be guilty, Johnson would have been removed from office. And yeah, during that time period, there wasn't 100 senators. So that's why you hear 35 guilty to 19 not guilty. He was 1 vote short of being convicted in the Senate. And then in 1926, the Supreme Court rendered the Tenure of Office Act invalid. If the Tenure of Office Act was still valid to this day, Trump would not have been able to remove his cabinet members without consent of Congress. Can you imagine how crazy he would have gone if some of those people ended up having to stay as his cabinet members over his objection? That would have just been wild. He would definitely have gotten into a battle with Congress. And then we have Bill Clinton. On December 19th, 1998, Clinton became the second American president to be impeached. And the specific charges against Clinton was that he was lying under oath. He lied under oath, and obstruction of justice. And those charges basically stemmed from a sexual harassment lawsuit that was filed by Paula Jones and from Clinton's testimony where he denied having a sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky. Okay, so 45 senators voted in favor of the perjury charges. He had, like I said earlier, it was lying under oath, which is basically perjury, and then obstruction of justice. So 45 senators voted in favor of the perjury charge, which, I mean, that's a lot of senators, but it just wasn't enough. 55 voted against it, and so obviously they couldn't remove him based on perjury. And then because they didn't have 2/3 votes. And then it was 50-50 basically on the obstruction. Obviously they didn't have 2/3 of votes, but he still had 50 senators that had voted to remove him based on obstruction, even though these were some of the most bogus charges ever brought. But, you know, they brought them and they failed. Okay, but nevertheless, so Clinton also was removed. He ended up finishing up his term, and now goes down in history as a 2-term president. President Obama never was impeached, never was removed. Anyway, so the flagrant foul now goes down in history as one of only 3 presidents ever to be impeached. Ever. And as it's clear by now, let me just say, impeachment doesn't mean that you're going to be removed from office. But it is the beginning of the process to get him removed. But by the way, I want to tell you guys, he won't be removed in the Senate. Look, I'm telling you guys as harsh reality. Even if Trump carved Satan on Mitch McConnell's forehead, and Mitch McConnell's bleeding all over the place, had to rush into the hospital, he's in the emergency room, he still would be in there like, even though I was bleeding to death, I was died, but I still don't think the president really meant to do what he did. That I'm just going to stand by the president, and you know, I'm still to recover from my life, but I don't think the president really meant to do. But you know, he just is trying to get himself together, and I'll forgive him. So I'm not going to bring the charges against the president. I still support my president. That would be Mitch McConnell. There's no way Mitch McConnell, even if he carved Satan on his forehead and he almost bled to death, he wouldn't do anything. Donald Trump could ride his Barbie doll truck into the Senate floor, ride it over Lindsey Graham's foot, break his pinky toe, and Lindsey Graham would still be like, I want to see the evidence. There's no evidence. There is no evidence against this president. He's committed any crimes. I just still want to see the evidence. The Democrats, there's just bad people. And I just think the Democrats, they're just terrible people. And I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but they're terrible. And yeah, they wouldn't even care, man. This guy can do whatever he wants. Period. He could literally knock John Cornyn's head over with a gavel. He'd be in the hospital still saying he supports Trump. There's nothing Trump is ever going to do that's going to make Republicans remove him. He could walk it, like he said, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose any voters. That's what he's telling you guys the truth. He literally has sycophants that follow him. People in the Senate, they are sycophants. He's got people in Congress. Jim Jordan's walking out the shower with little boys and still out there defending Trump. Okay? Those are the kind of people we're dealing with. But then comes Nancy Pelosi, the genius queen of Congress. But let me just tell you what she did. What she just did in her genius, she decided she was going to torture Trump. Here's what happened.
Donald Trump has been impeached, and that might not even be the most newsworthy story from the night. We all saw this coming. Hell, even Trump himself saw this day might come from early in his presidency, hence the obstruction of justice and abuse of office. What he didn't see coming, however, was Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's political power play in refusing to immediately hand the articles of impeachment over to the Senate. If that sounds confusing, I'll let Political explain. Though the House adopted 2 articles of impeachment charging Trump with abuse of power and obstruction of congressional investigations, it must pass a second resolution formally naming impeachment managers to present the case in the Senate. That second vehicle triggers the official transmission of articles to the Senate. Now that we have that straightened out, we must note why Pelosi would do this. Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is decidedly in Trump's pocket. Handing over impeachment to the Senate under McConnell's present state of mind would be futile.
Okay, you guys, I can't explain, or I'll try to explain in words, how genius this is. If Nancy does not turn over the impeachment materials for Trump to be tried, then he will literally have impeachment hanging over his head and no recourse. He will be impeached, but not acquitted, and can't factually argue that he's been exonerated, which is what he's waiting to be able to do. He wants to be able to come out there and say, I've been exonerated, the Democrats came after me, I didn't deserve it, I didn't deserve any of this, they just keep on coming after me, I just feel a little bit happy now. Like literally, guys, he has no recourse if he can't say that he's been exonerated. And don't think that her only goal was to ensure a fair trial in the Senate. That was part of it. But she also knows that Trump wants this over expeditiously. And he won't get that until she's ready to make that happen. Until she's ready. He's literally her bitch until she says otherwise. That's what she just did. You're my bitch. And I want you to understand that I can do what I want to you. You want to see how much power I have? I'll show you. I'll make you suffer and keep on having to deal with the fact that people are talking about you being impeached and you're not going to be exonerated, and people are just going to keep talking about you being an impeached president. I can keep that over your head for as long as I feel like it. Now what? That's what she just did. So please stop listening to the lying-ass media that are so desperate for ratings. They want to make sure that this sham trial commences so they can pretend that this is, they keep on pretending like this is a strategy that could hurt the Democrats. Nancy Pelosi is doing this. They keep pretending that because they need a sham trial to go forward because they are going to get so much money during this impeachment trial. Their ratings are going to go up. They're going to have millions of people watching. They're going to have the commercial values are going to go up. You have to remember that the mainstream media is a business. They're not really concerned necessarily about the truth or falsity of anything. It's really, at the end of the day, it comes down to economics. So why are they sitting there trying to tell you? And where's the evidence? Another thing, too, when you watch the mainstream media, you have to ask yourself a question. When they make these allegations, you have to ask the question, where is the evidence that supports this is going to hurt the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi is withholding this? Stop bringing pundits on to tell us about things that they have no basis to tell us. They have no factual, foundation for any of the stuff that they're saying. So why exactly are we listening to these people? The media, whether it's left-centered or right-centered, will profit greatly during an impeachment trial. The regular public, you, me, the rest of us, we are not. So I'll happily let Nancy torture Trump by withholding this from the Senate. It's a strategy that only a master like Nancy Pelosi can create. And anybody say anything to the contrary, you really don't know what you're talking about. And you really need to recuse yourself from these kind of conversations and stop acting like because you're getting paid a check that somehow you have now validated your opinion. No, let me just be honest with you. All these media outlets, all of them, different pundits are coming on saying they don't get the strategy. They don't agree with the strategy. She's just turned over. Turned over for what? For a sham trial? So they can expeditiously run it through, refuse to bring forth witnesses that could actually bring a lot of information to the public. They don't want the public to actually be able to hear what exactly is going on. They know that they're going to acquit him anyway, but they don't want the public to hear this information from people that worked with Trump or people that are affiliated with Trump to start showing you how criminal this guy is. They don't want the public to hear it because they know why. They know that's going to hurt him in the next election, and they are trying to help him get reelected. So Nancy Pelosi is not giving them the opportunity to be able to get away with this entire sham. In addition to that, I mean, she's literally killing two birds with one stone. She's making Trump have to suffer through the idea of having this impeachment hanging over his head. And then she's also making sure that Republicans, she used her leverage to make sure Republicans will ensure that there is actually a fair trial, which that's never going to happen. So nevertheless, what is her purpose of turning it over? Just hang the impeachment over his head. And then look, if she eventually turns it over because she's come to some concession with the Republicans, they could still change the terms in the middle of the trial. That's how much power that they have in the Senate. So I think Nancy Pelosi, she knows exactly what she's doing. Literally over the holidays, Trump is just going to be sitting around being impeached. Another thing too that she did, she invited him to come and give the State of the Union on February 4th, which means he'll be sitting there giving a State of the Union as an impeached president. Can you imagine that? And the State of the Union, that's going to be chaos if he ends up doing it, which he probably will say, I'm not doing it. I'm too angry. He'll be too raging in there. You know, they'll have to give him a diaper change before he even gets up on there. You know, he's put his dentures back in since he wants to talk about Nancy Pelosi's teeth. But we all know he's the one who said, God bless our church. And God bless our church. We're the ones who heard him say that. So anyway, I digress. But nevertheless, I think it's a genius what Nancy Pelosi is doing. She is, in my mind, the GOAT. Like, I just think it's just fabulous what she just did here. And I think that anybody who thinks anything to the contrary is ridiculous. But be glad that the flagrant foul has been impeached. All right, guys. That does it for me today. I just want to tell you guys something real quickly. Christmas break, I probably won't be doing a show. I'll probably be back around January 4th, 2020. I might do a quick show if something like really serious happens. And I think that I don't like what's being said. And I think that I need to explain something, you know, to people or give a counter perspective on something. I might do it, but I don't think so. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to try to enjoy this break. You know, I've been working a lot too, so just I need a break. So I probably won't be back until January 4th, 2020. So in that respect, I want to say, you guys, please, if you celebrate Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, have a great Hanukkah. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, have a great Kwanzaa. I don't know, all the holidays anyone could possibly celebrate. Please have a wonderful one. And also have a happy new year. And make sure that your goals are achieved in 2020. We are starting a whole new decade. So you know what? Be a brand new person. Do whatever it is that you said that you were going to accomplish. Make sure you go out there and you do it and kill it. No matter what happens, just remember that you're fabulous and that I will always think that you're a fabulous person. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you guys hopefully after this break is over, January 4th, 2020. All right, you guys, have a wonderful Saturday. Have a great holiday. Take care.
We run things.